Alright, so I have a table set up in the shop. The back machine room. Actually, I wasn't gonna go in the machine room, but there wasn't enough space. So I went in like one of the back rooms where they've got like all the nuts and bolts and stuff like that. It's the air conditioner is in there and it's kind of loud, but it's honestly the coolest part of the building, and there's really good lighting in there and there's a decent amount of space. So I'm going to bring in the panel and start taking things apart, because we're going to switch it over to a different piece which I made up. It's going to go up underneath the dash of the new car. So let's get started. So we have to get all of this to fit on this. Put this up here for size comparison. All of this on here to fit on this. Jeez. That's gonna be a task. I'm gonna get to work. My version of disassemble everything and Nick's version of disassemble everything is not the same. I've got pretty much everything cleared off this panel here. The wiring harness is just everywhere, spread out. So Nick wanted me to kind of just unbolt each of these like items and pick everything up and place it on the new panel, or he was going to place it on the panel, which would have been a lot easier, I guess, but I don't know. It's not what I did. This really gives us an opportunity, though, to go through and clean up some things. I'm going to go and use some degreaser, basically, on the wiring. Some of the stuff was like when the motor had blown up in the past, so it could use a little bit of cleaning, and that's what I'm going to go through and do, and get it prepped for Nick to put the wiring in the new car.
Smile at the camera. Yeah, maybe get a glimpse of just
no,
the...
he wants it off.
You want it off?
Yeah, but hold on.
You get your picture?
Pull it towards his chin.
There you go.
Did you get a picture?
Knock his head right off either way.
John.
Oh.
Yeah, he don't usually like helmets.
Not exactly sure if it was in this video, last video, or however it's going to go, but we're reusing a lot of parts
from previous builds to put this car together, simply for financial reasons. So right now, this is actually the stretchy truck. I don't know if you guys know, that was me, myself, and I. That was my ride that we did in like Drag Week 2013, 14, 15, Rocky Mountain Race Week, stuff like that, fastest street car stuff. That was a pretty cool deal, mid-engine twin turbo deal. Well, these we're gonna save these tile flanges off of it. They're not super expensive, but you know, a little bit of my time and a couple minutes with the hole saw is well worth it to me. So we're gonna go through and I'm gonna cut out the outside of here just like this and slips in over there like that. This is like a 2.5 inch deal, just over 50 millimeter, whatever it is, just the size that fits over this flange. So I'm gonna cut this sucker out, and then we're gonna weld it onto the new charge piping. And then after that, once it's fully welded, I'm gonna bore out the hole with an 1 5/8 deal on the inside of it. And the 1 5/8 sleeve, let me go grab it for you guys so you could see, so you could understand what's going on here. Some of you guys are more visual learners and so on and so forth. But we're gonna go through and we're actually shove this sucker in here like this, and it'll self-center itself. But by doing that, leaving that in there while we weld it, it keeps the heat, makes the weld a whole lot easier to weld, because you're just welding a blind hole to it. But you can't be like some people and forget to drill that hole after you weld it. So, yep, this guy's gonna go in here, pop out these 2 flanges, set them up on the new charge piping, and then we'll bore it out like this with another, with this hole saw. So, time to get after it. A little update for you guys. I went through and this is our shifter cable right here. It was on the Mustang that I wish we didn't have a bent crankshaft in, because that car was going to do some cool stuff. But the Mustang is a far cry from the cool factor of the natural born hustler that we're doing here at HustlinHorsepower. So guys, this deal right here, unfortunately, and everything, most people in this world, you have to draw a line somewhere, right? So this is another $50 bracket, and unfortunately, somehow, some way, it got bent between the time of running the Mustang and when I just went and grabbed it. So I went through, and you can see that little, you can see the threads right here, right? So it's a Morse cable end, and a Morse cable end, Morse cables are used for a lot of different things. They're a solid core center, and then these have a 10/32 thread on it right there. You can see it. I'm gonna flip the camera around so you guys can see it. So here it is. This is the shifter linkage right here. We use right now we have 3 Morse cables on the car. 2 of them are for the parachute, and this one right here is for the shifter linkage. This is a 10/32 right hand thread screw, and then this right here, this is actually a piece that I had to just order through Summit. We actually ordered it through. Well, we ordered a couple other things. You don't have to order it through Summit. We're not sponsored by Summit, so order it wherever the hell you can get it. And it's just a little bit easier than taking the 30-minute drive to the parts store that would have this. So long story short, 10-30 seconds. This sucker was bent right in here, so I straightened it out, and then I ran the tap over it, or the dye over it, just to clean up the threads a little bit. And you can see the threads. They're not overly shiny, so it really didn't. There really wasn't much. Mess up in it. If you saw the threads all shiny and stuff like that, well then it's cutting the material, right? But since the threads are still the same color as the rest of the deal here, it wasn't overly bad. But as a safety factor, I ran a nut right here before I put this on. Normally you don't do this, but normally you can just set this guy and let it ride. But I put a nut on this side as well. So once I get my shifter adjusted, I can go through and use this as like a jam nut basically, and lock this into place. That'll give me double the threads on the joint right here, just as a little additional safety factor, just in case those threads are a little bit off. We just doubled the threads essentially. So that's a little bit of something. Unfortunately, we all have to draw the line somewhere, and it's $50, and it's not even something like we could skip going out to eat tonight or something like that, because Lady Gangster and I, we really don't go out to eat all that often. We try to treat ourselves every once in a while, because we work our tails off. But it's not even something like, hey babe, we're not going to go out to eat today, because we're going to keep that $50 or $75 and buy a new shifter cable. So it is what it is. Everyone, it's not just us guys. I'm not saying it for that or this or that, but everyone makes some type of sacrifice to do this stuff, and that just is what it is. So another thing down, ready to get mounted on the car. I'm going to give this over to Maddy, or Race Cars and Snacks should be over before too long, and maybe I'll give it to them, clean it all up, so it's decent looking for when we put it in this car, because this car is gonna be bad. I promise you guys that. It's freaking cool. Also, another thing I just did, I went and mounted the CO2 bottle in here. The CO2 bottle, we actually use this cool little bracket right here that it's kind of hard to see, from Tin Soldiers Race Cars. It's a pretty cool deal. They're fairly cheap. I don't even remember what I paid for it, but relatively cheap. And they're handy for mounting everything from fire suppression bottles to CO2 bottles to nitrous bottles. I don't know if you'd want to mount a heavy, you can mount a nitrous bottle off of it. They're pretty strong. So on this deal, I wanted to mount the CO2 bottle right where it is, because I have access to it. Now, personally, this gauge right here is in the wrong direction. I'm gonna rotate that 180 degrees. I shouldn't tell you guys this, because some of our competitors watch this stuff, right? So I don't even want to tell you guys this, but I want every time before I stage the car, I go and look at my pressure gauge. It's just something that I do as a driver, just as a redundancy thing. There's a lot of things I do while I'm in the car that are completely unnoticed if you're not watching what I'm doing, but I go through a whole checklist before, and it's just second nature. It's not like I have a checklist on the car. I did do that once though, when I first went to EFI, because I had it set up that I had to turn on the data logger. Bad idea, because I made a whole lot of passes before I turned on the data logger. So at one point I did put a note on the dashboard of the stretchy truck, turn on the data logger, you dummy. So and there were still times I forgot, but hey, it is what it is. We've gone a long way since 2013, I'll tell you that much, and you'll see it right here with this car. So I'm gonna rotate that gauge 180 degrees so I can see it while I'm strapped in. I might have to loosen up the shoulder straps a little bit, be able to see it, but I don't think so. I think it'll be good. Possibly with a neck collar. Eventually I want to buy a Hans device. I've been in 2 bad wrecks right now, but it's like one of those things that, like, when I sell something and get some quick money, or money that I wasn't expecting, that's one of those items that I'd like to purchase. But neither here nor there. Additionally, the whole reason I started this video is this guy right here. I don't know if you can really see it. Woo, my hand was in the way. I added that little tab in there as well. That's going to help support the CO2 bottle off the transmission tunnel, drive shaft tunnel, I should say. That Maddy and Race Cars and Snacks, aka Caden, aka Mini Boost, aka Baby Boost, aka might as well be driving a 4-cylinder boost. So no, I'm just joking, buddy. Yeah, so there's that. And then what else? I did that so it's not on the transmission tunnel, because I'm possibly going to have some electronics mounted on the transmission tunnel, and tire shake and stuff like that is brutal. And also, if it was resting on the drive shaft tunnel, it just adds to that frequency shaking thing and so on and so forth. So I got it rested off of that little, just a 1/2 inch 058, whatever it is, some tubing I had laying around from building the brake pedal setup. That was in a couple videos ago. So there's that. What else? Tom went and mounted the on-off switch and a couple other little things today. But it is 7 p.m. on Saturday, July 16th, and we're supposed to be racing in 6 days. And I got a lot of work to do, guys, so I gotta get rid of you until I start working on the next thing. But right now, I'm starting to lay out the wiring in the car. We're not wiring the car, definitely not wiring the car, but there's gonna be some more tabs and stuff like that I need to mount, some ground studs and so on and so forth, that I want to do before we start assembly, because I just don't like having expensive welding around expensive electronics if I could avoid it. So I'm gonna start laying stuff out and figuring all that out. And that's just a process that I go through when I'm building a car. It's kind of like in and out, in and out, in and out. And you gotta assemble the car freaking 10 times if you want to do it right. And now, when I say do it right, that's a personal opinion, so take it for what it's worth. But check back with you guys shortly. Oh, and P.S. I hate the way that turned out. So I gotta do a radius on it. It was my fault. I told Maddy to cut it down 2 inches. They chopped it down 2 inches, but originally we had it marked to 24 inches. Would have brought it right here to the back, just short enough that we could still access the tail housing bolts if we had to. And then we were gonna slash cut it, but I was like, that's a little bit too long. Second thought, we should have left it longer. I should have just done a slash cut. So now I got to go through here and do some type of radius there, because it's ugly looking. So here it is, guys. This is gonna be a bad mamma jamma. Hustling Horsepower on the Hustling Horsepower, Facebook, YouTube, Yahoo.com for the email, whatever you want to do it. Appreciate it, guys.